Hey guys, thanks for joining me for another review of our Sunday survival discussion. Today we're going to be looking at Survival Sundays discussion number 6. It was over water storage and purification. So let's start with water storage. When it comes to long-term water storage, there are many containers and methods that people use. As long as the water is stored and rotated properly, you will have access to water when you need it. It is important to store the water in a cool, dry, and dark location. This will help to prevent any type of bacterial growth from spoiling the water. The water should also be stored away from any chemical or hazardous material, so there is no chance for pollution to occur. Make sure the water is getting checked every 6 to 12 months. If you are able to just resupply with fresh water at that time, when you're checking it, that would be ideal. Ideal. In some instances, by adding additional additives, you may be able to further extend the shelf life of the water as well. If you are storing drinking water in plastic jugs yourself, personally, I would recommend that you avoid using jugs that have come in contact with any dairy item, such as milk, or any jug that has held chemicals or cleaners. Instead, use water or tea jugs to store your water to prevent the possibility of cross-contamination. If you have enough space to use 55-gallon drums to store water, that would be a really good option. Here, we don't really have that option, but if you have the space, those are excellent types of holders for your water. If you choose to do this, I found a really good additive that says it'll keep the water good in 55-gallon drums for up to 5 years. And there's a link in the article. If you just hit that, it'll take you right to that water preserver. It was only like $14, I think, and it seems like that would be really good to have. It's going to help that water last a lot longer. If you don't have 55-gallon drums of water, there are smaller amounts of the water preservative that you can buy, and there's also a link for that as well. Another option that I found for purchasing, if you're going to purchase drinking water, is packets of drinking water. They're water pouches. There's a link for that. I think those would be best helpful in like 72-hour packs. Obviously, if you're having to bug out or something, you couldn't just carry all these cases and cases of water, but you could grab a case and divide them up in your different bug out bags. Put some in your car, put some in the kids' bug out bags. If you have a bug out location, then obviously you can store cases of it there too. So we plan on adding some of that into our water storage as well. But you can also make a water catchment system, because it's a great way to store water too. The initial investment is very low, and obviously the water's free, so I mean, how can you go wrong? But you really do need to check your local regulations, because shockingly, it's actually illegal in some places to collect rainwater, which to me is ridiculous. So just check your local regulations to see if it's okay to do in your area. There's many different variations on rainwater catchment systems. I showed a couple examples there in the article. On the first example, if you click the Here button, you can actually get plans for that first idea. And number 2, it shows you everything that you need for it, and it's kind of self-explanatory, but I'm sure that if you needed further explanation of it, I got this picture. I actually Googled it, but I made sure to credit it. It was showing that it was on the Day One Gear blog. So if you go to the Day One Gear blog, I'm sure they'll further explain that if you need further instructions. So let's move on to water purification. Water filtration is a huge priority in the event of any disaster situation. And just like the many types of water storage, there are various ways and tools to filter water. So let's take a look at some of the many tools that can be used. One of the first things I think that anybody with a bug out bag needs is a Life Straw personal water filter. You can just click on the Life Straw little thing there on the article that has an underline, and they're about $20. They have been scientifically proven to remove 99.9999% of waterborne bacteria. I didn't put it on here, but if you look, if you type in family Life Straw, there's also a family version that actually filters larger amounts of water for like a whole family. They use those in a lot of third world countries. That way the water they give to the people, can be filtered, and the filter lasts for or is intended for larger groups of people. But everybody should at least have one of the personal water filters, and I do suggest the Life Straw. Like I said, they're about $20. If you click on where it says Life Straw, I think you get like 20% off, making them 19 something. I think they're normally like 22. I'm not real sure, but just click on that and it'll show you. There are other affordable options, and I tried to find other options that I felt were affordable for, the average family and to be realistic. The potable aqua water treatment tablets. If you click on all of these little links here that are underlined, those are like $5 or $6. There's a Guardian water filtration bottle. I think that was like $14. And there's Image Survival water filter. I think that was like $17. There are some more like higher priced solutions and filters that I'm sure work perfectly well. But in our case, I kept it realistic and affordable. You can also use non-scent and bleach to filter water or to clean water. For every gallon of water, you're going to want to put in 16 drops of bleach, and that'll clean your water. If you're thinking to yourself, why the hell would I put bleach in my water? I don't want to drink the bleach. That bleach smell is actually going to dissipate, so it's going to be just fine. Don't even worry about it. It's going to make the water a lot more safer to drink than if you wouldn't put it in there, because you could get all types of sick or sicknesses from drinking dirty water. So, okay, let's move on to no filtration tools, no fear. If a situation arises in which there are no filtration tools available, there still are ways to clean water for drinking. One of the first ways is by simply boiling the water, either over a cook stove if you have one, or over just make an open fire, and hopefully you have something to boil it in, obviously. But you have to boil it for at least 5 minutes, because that's going to help clear out the contaminants, because they can't survive the boiling water. Another method I've mentioned, I think in the last maybe 2 podcasts ago, was using a peat bottle, which is just a used water bottle. It has to be made of some type of peat material. That way it's a safe material, and water bottles are. So what you would do is just fill up the water bottle, place it in the sun for 6 hours. You have to remember, obviously, if it's cloudy, it has to set out for 12 hours before you can try to drink it. If you're in a desperate situation and you're thirsty and you have to have water right then or pretty immediately, that method's not going to work. But if you could gather some water and maybe boil it or filter it or whatever and get water right then, if you have these extra water bottles or happen to on hand, you can simply just fill them up, set them in the sun, and then later you'll have more water, kind of a backup. But I understand that, in some situations you have to drink right then. But you can also make your own filters from natural elements. And I found this article on, I'm not even sure, but I just Googled it. But I did quote the source. It says, the source was, When All Hell Breaks Loose, Stuff You Need to Survive When Disaster Strikes. It's by Cody Ludden. And it was also reposted by Les Stroud. but it's called Making a Basic Water Survival Water Filter from Scratch. So I'm just going to read it to you real quick. The first thing to consider when collecting water is to think about how soon you will need to drink. If you have time, collect standing water in a container and let it set for a few hours. This will allow anything that floats to rise to the surface, and you can skim off any debris. If you have 2 containers, try this method for filtering water. Take the first container and fill it with water. Then put your shirt or some sort of porous layer over the other container. Put your pebbles on top of the cloth and filter your water by pouring it over the stones into the next container. Next, remove the pebbles and put sand, a finer material, on top of the cloth. Filter your water again. Finally, the most effective way to filter is to crush up charcoal, put it in your cloth, and let the water run through it. Charcoal filters remove sediment, many contaminants, and improve taste. Charcoal is used in store-bought home and backcountry water filters. You can make your own charcoal by making a campfire, covering it with dirt and ash, and allow it to cool completely. Once it is cooled, crush it into small pieces, pour the water through the charcoal several times. If at all possible, build a contraption that will combine all 3 filtering steps, letting the water flow from one material to the other. This will make the water gradually clear as you filter it back and forth again. If you don't have a man-made container, some natural materials are great alternatives. Bamboo is a prime example. It is hollow in the center and water can flow through it easily. There are many other plants with hollow centers. Use these to your advantage. A hollow log can be a great option. Place the materials, the pebbles, sand, cloth, and charcoal, in layers through the various parts of the bamboo or log. Remember to think about what materials you are carrying and check your surroundings in any survival situation. This should provide you with a basic insight on how to create a survival water filter. Realize that it is still possible to get sick even if you follow these guidelines in this article. Always contact a physician after you drink questionable water. The side effects of pathogens and microorganisms will take at least a week to start affecting you. If you are in a survival situation, keep hydrated and worry about those side effects later. So, you can make a basic water filter from scratch if you have nothing. But this article was good because it really did tell you the truth. You really can still get sick even if you filter it yourself. So, if you can, or have the opportunity to, make sure you have some type of water filtering devices with you or tools with you. That way, you just have to make the one from scratch as your last option. If you have nothing else, then you'll do that. So, I hope that you found this article interesting on water storage and water filtration. I know there are many more things we probably could have covered in it, but for lack of time, we just went with some of the basics. If you're only listening to this and you haven't read or seen the article, I encourage you to do so. That way you can actually click on the links to see the examples of the items, and also you can get the Adobe the plans for the rain catchment system, and it's an Adobe Reader file. So, thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time.